What's up, fellas? I'm back with another video. This week I wanted to talk about slider tricks because I've been learning some stuff recently and I've had friends ask about how to do things. So I kind of thought I was at the point where I should make a little video on how to use a slider, and I'm going to try to start from complete zero, assuming you've never used one before, and I'm going to try to make it quick. We'll see how quick I can make it. If you've never used a slider before, the first thing to get familiar with is just the up and down motion. It's the whole point of a slider, it slides. All right, that doesn't take very long to get used to. So the next thing after sliding up and down you should learn is laddering. So how you actually ladder is when you're fully at the top, you just kind of give the corner the tiniest little nudge and it should just be able to fall. Now if your slider ends up getting stuck like this, you're going to have to give it guidance to go down. But my slider doesn't do that. I had to literally tilt it to demonstrate. It should just naturally want to fall down like that. And you just slide it back in and repeat. And then once you get comfortable with that, you can take your thumb and slide it from not quite the top, not quite the middle, just in between there. Just give it a little push to the side and it'll fall down like that. And you combine the two. Side, down. That's your basic ladder. Then you can get faster at that. Then you can learn different variations. Like you can go from the back, like if you slide it instead of out like this. If you take your thumb and you're holding the back with your other fingers, you take your thumb, you slide it this way, and you take your pointer finger from the back around the top, you push it down. That's one of my favorite super basic moves, is that backwards ladder. Some people do the whole ladder backwards. I find this to be difficult, but I can do it. Then what you can do is you do the first step of the ladder reverse, and then you go from the back, push it down. That's a really nice move that you can get quick with. Then you can do it the other way. From the front, you go here and then down like that. Then afterwards, you can start to physically twist the slider, do stuff like this, where you just keep laddering around, or start from the top, you do this sideways ladder from the other side, go from the back down, and then you do a full ladder. You twist and repeat. Then after you get used to ladders, I think the next natural step would be something like a sexton slide. Now this is my favorite move to do while walking if I just want to do something simple. And this one will really depend on the slider you're using and the magnet strength in terms of how easy it is to learn it and do it. But all you're doing is you're starting from the corner and you're guiding it basically in a half circle. So what you're doing is it goes here, then down like this, then next position it'll lock into is like this, and then you push it out to the side. Now if I do it a little faster, you see it's literally just a semicircle. And then if you do it fast, it almost looks like you're going straight down if you do it super fast. But yeah, once you get a feel for it, you can do it very quick. Then after that, the move that probably impresses the most people is the around the world. Especially people who've never seen a slider, they'd kind of see this and their mind would be blown. Now, if you push from the edge when you're doing it around the world, it's not going to go around. It's just going to get stuck. That's what I see most people doing. You have to push closer to the middle, not exactly in the middle, just a little bit off, and then boom. So the other thing is, if I do it here, and I don't move my thumb, it hits your thumb, so it can't complete. And also I think that upwards, like moving your thumb, moves your hand a little bit and gives it just enough extra movement to complete. See, like I'm giving it just the tiniest of this kind of a motion. Not even really a flick, because if you flick it, it'll fly off sometimes. And then you have to move your thumb out of the way so it can complete the rotation. And then once you get good at it, you can just, sit here, do around the worlds. And the around the world, in my opinion, is one of those tricks where it's hard to learn, but once you learn it and get it good, you can basically do it on any slider. It'll get to the point where if that slider is capable of doing it, you'll be able to figure it out. Then once you do that, you can get to the point where you can incorporate it in a lot of things. But the next one that I learned is actually where you go to the side, you go down, you sextant slide, then you around the world after the sextant slide. Then after you around the world, you go from that corner. And it's kind of the reverse of the sextant slide. You bring it back up, and then you repeat. And that's a nice flow you could do right there. After that, the reverse around the world, that one requires a little bit of a backwards flick, just a little bit, because that's really easy to either have like this or, you know, it just ends up like that. Then once you get good at it, and again, you're moving your thumb out of the way so it can complete the rotation. Basically, you're pushing it a little bit diagonally up, just a little bit, like up and out, and you're giving your wrist just a little bit of a flick, and you're also moving your thumb to the side so it can complete the rotation. Because if you don't move your thumb, see, and I'm doing it naturally, it's so hard to not do it. If I keep my thumb there, it won't complete the rotation. But also, that can happen, right? You have to move your pointer finger out of the way, so you're kind of having to grip it instead of like this, you know, like closer. You have to kind of pinch at it to give it that clearance to make the rotation. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to. Your finger's going to stop it. But then you can kind of just whip it around like that. You can do it from the bottom. Now, see, I can't do that other direction around the world. I'm still trying to learn that. Like that, and I have to get used to moving my finger out of the way. But then after that, I started to learn, I call it a shuffle. I don't even know what you actually call it. This is one where it really depends on what slider you're using. Honestly, the fancy play sliders or the flare type sliders are a lot better for this, because the wider magnet setup, you can really go fast. You can kind of get to that point on some of these sliders, but it'll want to, let me see if I can get this to do it. That, where it jumps up. So that's why the flare type sliders are really good for learning this, but I'll demonstrate on a normal slider. So first, you're gonna wanna slide it up like this, and you're holding it here, and then you let it drop. Then you take this, you slide it up again, let it drop again. That's the motion you have to get used to right there. And then you're basically just iterating on that. Now notice how my thumb is going diagonal. Like I'm barely even pushing actually up. Like the whole motion is basically diagonal, right? Like I'm not going straight up and then like this. Once you learn the diagonal motion, it will push it up and perfectly at the corner. That's, I think, the main key. Because then once you get used to that motion and using your finger to push it diagonally instead of like straight up, that's when you can get fast. And also notice how I'm holding this other half of my slider, right? I'm holding it so that this part can just move freely with my other thumb. You'll get faster at it. Like I found myself going at this speed for a long time, then a little faster, and then eventually, I'm talking after a lot of months, it kind of just clicked. But this slider, see, it's wanting to jump to the top. But if you do it on one of these fancy play sliders, first of all, these corners, they swing a lot easier. So it kind of just wants to do this kind of thing once you get used to it. So then once you get used to that, you can go down like that, or something I've been trying to do recently is learn how to go up afterwards. And then what I saw somebody else do was a shuffle to around the world, not like that. It's a lot easier for me to do it on the Aura Sand, actually. Like that. Another thing you can learn, this might be easier than the shuffle. Some sliders don't do it well. Some sliders do. Let me see if my wrapped light does it. Yeah. This right here. Now, I don't know what makes a slider do it well and what doesn't, but basically you're just bringing it up to the corner and then flicking it back down. Then what I wanted to start to do is learn the fancy stuff that I see like these competitive sliders in China do. Like people who do this competitively. Let me get a slider that does a little quieter. This one's a little harder to do it on because the magnet's set up. But what you're doing here is you're doing half the shuffle, right? You're doing it like this and then guiding it so it goes back. You're going to have to get used to the feeling of it moving on the corners like this and kind of guiding it. Then you go up, you go back, and then you flick it around to where it snaps back in. On this slider, I noticed I have to give it the tiniest little push, but then you have to get your thumb out of the way too. But then if you do it in a quick enough motion and let your finger kind of block it a little bit from doing the full rotation, if you have your finger block it just a little bit, it's a lot easier to get it, but I still need to use my thumb to give it a push. But ideally, you just let gravity do the work, basically. I can do it really well on this slider here. This is one you definitely want to be over your bed when you're learning it. Actually, a lot of these, you're going to just want to be in bed while doing it, like sitting on your bed, because you're going to drop your slider when learning tricks. I still drop my sliders, because then what you can do is you can combine a shuffle with it. And I've noticed this trick has been making people ask me, how I do it lately. Another one that I found is if you go to the side, this is with flare sliders, you can flick it like this. You go to the bottom corner, it'll hang off. You just kind of flick it up. And it's weird because you have to make sure your fingers are out of the way. That's where I'm at with sliders. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to try to help. And happy sliding.